Hey there, crazy kids. I am the Good Old Gamer, and we're back to playing more Minecraft, the official release on Good Old Risa. Haven't played this in a while. Of course, if you're watching from a playlist, that won't matter, but it was back in the end of November when I last made a video for this world. And of course, back in November, meaning back in November of last year, because it's now January of 2012. January 5th. So it's been a while. Anyways, like I said, if you're watching from the playlist later on, it'll just be one video to the next. But those of you keeping current with these videos, I apologize for it taking so long. But I had another Minecraft competition thingy to play out. Anyways, as you can see here, I got my billboard with all kinds of projects to be working on, but since most of these projects are building things, build, that means I'm going to need materials. So today in this recording session, we're going to go caving and gather materials by other means as well. So let's see, what all do I have? Looks like I'll need to do some inventory management. Shouldn't need all this wood. A stack of planks should be enough. Cooked fish will come in handy. Don't need fences. I'll put away the sticks for now. I see I've transferred to iron stuff already. That's good. Yeah, it's been a while since I played. I'm going to have to get used to what I'm using and what I haven't been. I'm going to keep the shears just because I might need them. I guess since I don't have a bow, I don't need the arrow. I'm going to keep the fishing rod because obviously 4 fish aren't going to get me very far. Cobblestone, gravel. Actually, yeah, I'll keep the gravel for now because it might be good for elevator thingies in caves. Is this going to be enough? I guess I could do some fishing for a little while. Because I'm going to need more fish because we're going to go in caves. Reason that I want to go caving is because one of the main building materials I want, well, 2 of the main building materials that I want come from the nether, and that's glowstone and nether brick if we're lucky enough to find another fortress. So in order to get to the nether, of course, we need obsidian, and the easiest way to get obsidian is to go dump some water on some lava, and the easiest way to find lava, of course, is to get down in the ground. And the quickest way to do that is to go into a cave. So hopefully we find a good caving system and we can do that. Also going to need at least 3 diamonds in order to make a pick in order to gather the obsidian. And diamonds are down in the ground. So that's another reason to go caving. I really hope we find another fortress or whatever they're called. I will tear that to the... I will disassemble the entire thing. I'll take all the nether bricks if I find them. Since apparently we can't craft them, and that's annoying. You guys have no idea how annoying that is. We should be able to craft them. You'd think we could craft them, but no. That'd be apparently too easy for some reason. So anyways, well, I guess I'm fishing here and wasting time. I could talk about some things. In one of Mindfiend's recent videos, I think number 42 of his new season of Minecraft, he was talking about the transition from being an alpha player and even into a beta player to the official release, and how he has this old alpha idea of using stone tools over using iron tools and all that. Because back in the days of alpha, iron was a precious mineral. I mean, it was not nearly as abundant as it is now. It's just crazy abundant today. And he was talking about how the transition has been difficult for him. There's no reason why he can't use iron tools these days because iron is so abundant. But he just has this thing in the back of his head where he wants to save the iron for later because, again, he's used to playing alpha. And I just want to talk about my point of view on this. I feel sort of the same way, or at least I did. I'm kind of over it now, but I think the transition for me was easier because I was never really intricate in my use with iron. I never made minecart tracks of any kind of length. I mean, I did it for a demonstration, but I never made any extravagant minecart track systems. Never used minecarts all that much. And most of the time back in alpha days, I used leather armor, not because iron was precious or anything, but because leather was abundant and there was only one use for leather. Even here in the official release of Minecraft, there's still only one single use for leather, and that's armor. It's just not nearly as abundant now because cows aren't nearly as abundant and they don't respawn as often and stuff, but I never really had, I would say, too much trouble transitioning to using iron tools and weapons, simply because that was the only thing I ended up using them for. Besides the occasional bucket or compass or whatever. So for me, I've always had a decent amount of iron in inventory that I could use. So the transition for me was never too terribly difficult. Now that said, there are a few things that carry over from alpha for me that have stuck with me, and the transition for me is really difficult. For example, farms. Back in alpha or even beta of Minecraft, before this new hunger system came in, you never needed farms. If you went out and bothered to make a wheat farm, it was just because you wanted to make a wheat farm. It wasn't because you needed to make one. Killing pigs, and even when the other animal meat was introduced, killing things for food was far more efficient, quicker, easier, all around. And that's even talking about back before the meat stacked and stuff, which of course didn't come in until the new hunger system anyway, but it's been really difficult for me to transition from just going around randomly killing pigs, or I guess these days cows and chickens, for their meat to use whenever I want, to transition into making farms or even fishing here. Because back in alpha or even beta, when I fished, it was just for the fun of it. It was just to do it. Especially on the Fool's House server, when it used to have the fishing mod that gave different items like old leather hats and stuff. But it was just for fun. It was just for relaxing. It was never a necessity. The reason that I'm fishing now for food is because I'd rather do this than take all the effort it requires to make a farm. And then, go through the process of harvesting wheat and whatever else. And that's not to say I'm not going to make a farm. I already have plans to make farms. But it's just that the transition's been really difficult for me because farms have always been something to do just to do in this game. It's never been seen from my perspective, as a requirement, and now these days it's becoming more and more so. So that's something that carries over for me that I have to adjust to as an alpha player of Minecraft. Back when I made a farm, and I've made a few of them before, it was just for demonstration. It was just to show you it could be done. And it's really difficult for me to get into the frame of mind to make a farm. That's why I keep putting it off and just go fishing instead. Um, what else? I guess another thing that carries over for me from alpha is the transition that's happened with the weapons. How the weapons have been nerfed down to make room for enchantments and stuff. And like I told you guys before, I don't want to get in the rant again, but the weapons have been nerfed down for the enchantments. And or I guess potions, if potions have an effect on them. I miss the alpha days where you could count on your weapon to do a certain amount of damage and be comfortable with it, and now it's like all the weapons are off. You know, iron tools take what, 4 or 5 hits now. I think diamond tools take the 2 or 3 that iron used to, and it just feels wrong. I don't know. I guess enchantments are going to be another thing that's going to be a hard transition for me to try and get to, assuming I ever even bother to use them, because I really don't see the point in enchantments when most of what they do is just make your weapons like they used to be in alpha anyway. There are a few enchantments, of course, that add certain other abilities, particularly whatever the one is that gives your pick the ability to get extra materials from the same block of ore. I forget what it is. Silk touch or something like that. I don't know. Fortune. I don't know. But most of them are just stupid little things that don't really matter in the end. I mean, I know there's enchantments that add like fire damage to your weapons or certain different types of damage, but it doesn't kill the enemies any faster. It's still going to take, 2 or 3 hits or whatever, so it doesn't make a difference. So I don't know. There's a few things that are going to be difficult for me as an alpha player to transfer over to. The hunger system itself, this new hunger system, is still a big, tedious waste of time to me as an alpha player. It seems like I'm eating now just to eat, and that's it. I rarely eat to heal. If you know how to... I'm pretty sure... Let's see. Make sure... Yeah, I'm playing on hard. And it doesn't matter. I mean, as long as you know how to fight in combat and you get used to combat and you know how to handle enemies and take care of yourself decently, you're not going to be eating to heal on any sort of regular basis. It's certainly not going to be to the effect of the healing you get from eating would any more or any better cover what you used to get from the other eating system where you ate to heal up immediately without the hunger system. I think the hunger system is a lot of tedious time sink when you consider that some people, like the Mind Fiend and possibly myself later on, make farms now in order to just keep up with the whole hunger system thing. I need to find a decent cave. That's kind of why I'm out here, but I'm busy talking and that gets me distracted. I don't suppose I have a compass somewhere so I could find my way back, should I wander too far. So yeah, there's a lot of things from Alpha that are going to, that are going to be something of a difficult transition for me. But as far as using resources like iron for tools and stuff, that's one of the things from Alpha that I've never had really much problem with, because like I said, I've never had any problem using iron for tools and stuff anyway, because that was about the only thing I ever used it for. Let's go back here to our main base of operations and see what we have in inventory. I could use a bucket for sure, and a compass wouldn't hurt if we happen to have one. I don't know if I've made one. I can't even remember if we've been deep enough in a cave to get redstone. Well, we have one bit of redstone. Oh my gosh. We do have a bucket though, that's good. Well, I guess I'll use this one bit of redstone here for a compass. It's probably what I'd ever use it for anyway. I'm not big on redstone use either. That's another thing that carries over from alpha for me. Back when I started, there really wasn't that much use for redstone, especially compared to these days with pistons and everything else that they do with it. Like back when I started, there weren't any repeaters or anything like that. Redstone was very basic, so I never got in the habit of actually bothering to use it. I mean, you could, even back when I started, you could use redstone for things, but it'd be so god awful complicated, especially without like the repeaters and stuff, that it just never interested me in the slightest. So I never got into using redstone, and these days I don't use it either. That's another thing that carries over from alpha days for me. Back in those days, if you used redstone, you really had to be interested in it to use it. If you weren't interested in it, you just wouldn't. You just wouldn't. The only things I've ever really used redstone for are like specific items like watches